You're viewing these videos because, for one reason or another, you need to know how to use SharePoint 2013. Everybody learns differently. Everybody has different goals. Everybody has different motivations. My challenge is to engage you and meet your specific learning needs. That is challenging in a pre-recorded environment. To do so, though, I've written and arranged this title in a very specific way to hopefully accommodate everyone's individual preferences. Here's how it works so you can learn the way you need and want to. Some people thrive getting an IV infusion of information. Give it to you all at once so you can run with it. Others find that to be a little overwhelming. It's easier for them to take a slow metered dose over time. Otherwise, they tend to get the first stuff, then, little by little, they start getting overfilled with information and very quickly are going through the motions but not really learning or retaining much of it at all. With this series, you can go as fast or as slow as you need. You can fill your plate and stuff yourself at the buffet on your very first trip through, or you can take a few samples of things on your first trip through, then return when you know what you like or when you want to try something else. Both ways, you get to consume what you want, but in the way that you're most comfortable with. Because this is your training, you can watch the entire series from start to finish in one sitting, or you can watch one topic now and another later on after you've had a chance to think about it, or maybe even practice with it a little bit before moving on. Because these are videos, you can also replay any particular topic at any time. Sometimes you'll even mix and match, maybe watching topics you're comfortable with once, then moving on to another, and taking more time to review less familiar or more advanced topics more than once. How fast you go through the topics and how much you consume at any one time is up to you. As an instructor, I wish everyone was motivated and willing to learn everything there is to know about each piece of software and all its details. Reality is, that never happens. Some will take training to learn the traditional intro, intermediate, and advanced topics, progressively, start to finish, in order to learn in a comprehensive way. That method is thorough, but it does take time. If you watch this series in order, one video after another, you'll find that they are logically and progressively organized. You won't learn part of something now, then the rest of it 10 lessons from now. That type of approach to learning, start to finish, is great, but sometimes we sit through topics that we don't really need. As an instructor, I think knowing all of your options is never harmful, but some see it as a waste of time. These days, especially in business, we tend to want something known as just-in-time learning. We have a specific project or need, and we need to know it now, not a week from now. For those of you in this category, while the videos do progress naturally from one to another, each video is also designed to be standalone. It doesn't rely on having watched the video just prior to it for it to make sense. You can feel free to pick and choose specific topics of interest to you or that you need to know to accomplish specific work. As an educator, I do hope that if you fall into the second category, that you make time at some point to go back and review the videos you initially skipped, so that you can be sure that you have well-rounded skills with no holes or gaps, but that, of course, is up to you. So, you can watch the entire series or choose specific topics, but there's one more thing to help you customize your learning experience. There's a concept in education known as levels of learning. It basically says that on one end, a person can be shown how to perform steps to accomplish something, the 1, 2, 3, if you will. That makes them able to accomplish a specific task. It doesn't give them enough to extend that specific thing they've been shown and apply it to other situations that may not be exactly the same. In order to extend your knowledge in that way, in order to be able to formulate your own solutions to unique situations, and to be able to evaluate how well those solutions you are providing are actually working, you need to have a little more than just the 1, 2, 3 of it all. Once again, there is no right or wrong way. There are just different ways with different purposes and different goals. The first video in each chapter lists learning objectives for that chapter. It then goes into any other background or theory that you may need to know to fully understand not only what to do, but what is happening within SharePoint when you do it. It's not necessarily more technical, it's just more in-depth. Watching this information will allow you to more fully understand the breadth of all the interactions that occur in SharePoint as you work, so you can know what your actions will do, how to resolve issues if they arise, and how to formulate solutions to using SharePoint beyond what we're able to demonstrate in the series. With that said, if you don't want to be bogged down with the details, you can skip the first video of each chapter. You'll still learn the steps necessary to use SharePoint. If you've taken SharePoint training before, or used it extensively and understand how it works, you just need to know the specific steps in this version, then this approach will be just fine. If you're in a need-to-know-now mode, this will also get you the information you need. If you just don't care to know how a car moves, you just want to know how to get in, turn the key, and push on the accelerator, you can skip that initial video in each chapter as well. Have I said this before? It's your learning experience. The most important part of any learning is that you're able to take what you've been shown and actually do something with it. I try to infuse these videos with lots of real-world examples that you can relate to. As you watch, try to think of 1 or 2 ways that you can use what's being shown with your own data, or how your organization is currently using that part of SharePoint. Also important is that you find a way to use what you learned sometime in the week following when you learn it. Work with whatever SharePoint site you have available. You can add stuff, then delete it if necessary. There aren't a lot of practice files that go along with this series, so using your own files and data is not only fine, it's actually recommended. But most importantly, use what you learn as soon as you can. Part of that is just starting to integrate SharePoint into your work. Talk to your colleagues, your supervisors, whoever is available to talk with you about how SharePoint is being or can be used. It'll spark your enthusiasm, stoke your interest, and strengthen the investment you've made in learning SharePoint. It's your training. Make the most of it.